Hello guys, welcome back. My name is Sangeeta Mehta and you're watching my channel, My English Magazine. Today I explain to you kinds of comedy. Kinds of comedy in diverse historical period. Old and new. Comedy in ancient Greece. So guys, this is the old and new comedy in ancient Greece. So English paper second, third, the 11 surviving plays of Aristophanes represent the earliest extant body of comic drama. What is known of Greek old comedy in derived from these plays K, earliest of which the occurrence was produced in 425 BCE. Aristophanic comedy has a distinct formal design but displays very little plot in any conventional sense. Rather, it presents a series of episodes aimed at illustrating in humorous and often body detail the implications of a deadly serious political issue. It is a blend of investigative buffoonery and song and dance. Old comedy often used derision and security, and this may have proved its undergoing through, though praised by all the freedom it enjoyed, degenerated into license and violence and had to be checked by law. A new comedy which began to prevail about 336 BCE, the Aristophanic depiction of public personages and events was replaced by a representation of the private affairs, usually amorous, of imaginary men and women. New comedy is known only from the fragments that have survived of the plays of members c. 42/c. 292 BCE and from plays written in imitation of the form of Romans Plautus. The stock comic character survived from old comedy into new. An old man, a young man, an old woman, a young woman, a learned doctor or a pedant, a cook, a parasite, a swaggering soldier, a comic slave. New comedy, on the other hand, exhibits a degree of plot articulation never achieved in the old. The action of new comedy is usually about plotting a clever servant. For example, devises ingenious in order that his young master may win the girl of his choice. There is satire in new comedy on a miser who loses his gold from being over careful of it, on a overstern father whose son turns out worse than the product of an indulgent parent in the adaptee, but the satire quality of these plays is bland by comparison with the trenchant ridicule or old comedy. The emphasis in new comic plotting is on the conduct of a love intrigue. The love element, whereas, is often of the slightest. The girl whom the hero wishes to possess, sometimes being no more than an off-stage presence, no more than an off-stage presence, or it one stage mute. New comedy provide the mode for European comedy through the 18th century. During the Renaissance, the plays of Plautus and especially of Terence were studied for the moral instruction that young men could find in them. Lesson on the need to avoid the snares of harlots and the company of braggarts, to govern the deceitful trickery of servants, to behave in a seemly and modest fashion of parents. Classical comedy was brought up to date in the plays of the Christian Terence, imitations by schoolmasters of the comedies of the Roman dramatist. They added a contemporary flavor, the life portrayed, and displayed some what less indulgent attitude to youthful indiscretions than did the Roman comedy. New comedy provided the basic convention, plot, and characterization for the comedian erudita. Comedy performed from written text, 16th century Italy, as the plays of Niccolo. Rise of realistic comedy in 17th century in England. The early part of the 17th century in England saw the rise of a realistic mode of comedy based on a satiric observation of contemporary manners and mores. It was masterminded by Ben Jonson, and its its purpose was deductive comedy, said Johnson in Every Man Out of His Humor, quoting the definition that during the Renaissance was attributed to Cicero is an imitation of life, a glass of custom, an image of truth. Comedy holds the mirror up to nature and reflects things. They are to the end that society. English comedy of the later 17th century is cast in Johnsonian mold. Restoration comedy is always concerned with the same subject, the game of love, but the subject is treated as a critique of fashionable society. So, in this way, inevitably, then hypocrisy is the chief satiric target. The animal nature of man is taken for granted, and so is the social responsibility to keep up appearances. Some hypocrisy must follow, and within limits, society will wink at indiscretion so long as they are discreetly managed. The paradox is typical of those in which the restoration comic dramatistic delight and the strong rational and unidealistic ethos of this comedy has its affinities with the naturalistic and skeptical cast of late 17th century philosophical thought. Thank you guys, thank you very much. This is the also I give the notes for semester first MA English on my blogger, My English Magazine. This is the name of my blogger, my channel, my Facebook, Twitter, Google, YouTube, everywhere. So thank you guys, thank you very much. You're watching my channel, My English Magazine. Thank you.